Homo habilis, our earliest ancestors, did not fear darkness as much as they feared the silence that followed it. For silence in the prehistoric savanna meant a predator was watching, not waiting, and today that predator was a lion slinking through tall, golden grass, its muscles coiled like rope. The lion's path crossed a pair of Homo habilis, a man and woman, who stood frozen in the desert's baked sand. Their wobbly bipedal stance betraying how new walking on two legs still was. And the big cat paused, its eyes locking onto their ape-like black hair before it turned, as if deciding they were not worth the effort. Walking through the same field where the lion had been, a group of young Homo habilis males kept their hands clenched around sharpened sticks, their dark skin glistening with sweat, and they scanned the grass for signs of beasts, knowing one wrong step could end their lives. Behind the young males, the rest of the tribe followed, women, elders, and a few children, their primitive clothes, stitched leaves and animal hide, flapping in the dry wind. And they stayed close, for safety in numbers was the only rule that had kept them alive this week. Near the edge of the field, a woman knelt, holding a squirming baby to her chest, her ape-like hair falling over her shoulders to shield the infant from the sun, and she whispered soft, guttural sounds, trying to calm the child while keeping an eye on nearby wildlife. The group of males from earlier had moved farther ahead, their steps quicker now that they'd spotted fresh tracks in the dirt, tracks that looked like a small herd of antelope, and they signaled to the tribe with a low hoot, urging them to keep up but stay quiet. In the desert's sparse tree line, 3 Homo habilis males leaned against a gnarled acacia, their legs shaking from hours of walking, and they stared at the horizon, wondering if they'd ever find water again, while a vulture circled high above, waiting for any sign of weakness. A kilometer away, a herd of grazing creatures, small, horned mammals, nibbled at the dry grass, their ears twitching at every rustle, and none noticed the Homo habilis child who'd wandered a few paces from the tribe, staring at them with wide eyes. The ground rumbled as a herd of elephants marched across the field, their massive feet flattening the dry grass, and the Homo habilis tribe ducked into the underbrush, their breaths held, for even the bravest among them knew not to challenge such large beasts. When the elephants passed, the male Homo habilis sprang into action, running through the field with their sharpened sticks, their wobbly legs finding new speed as they chased the small herd of antelope they'd spotted earlier. And the tribe cheered quietly, hoping for a successful hunt, while the men chased prey. A lone horse stood apart, eating hay it had dug up from under the dry grass, its tail swatting at flies, and a young Homo habilis crept closer, curious, before an elder called out, warning them to stay away from the skittish animal. The hunt took a turn. One antelope had broken from the herd, and the males split up, some running left, some right, their dark skin blending into the shadow of the grass, and they closed in, their sticks raised, knowing this meal could feed the tribe for 2 days. With the antelope caught, a quick strike to the neck with a sharp stick. The men slowed their pace, carrying the prey between them, and they walked back across the field, their shoulders relaxed for the first time all day, while the rest of the tribe waited anxiously. As the sun began to set, the tribe reached a small desert oasis, and the men started dancing, wild, jerky movements, to celebrate the hunt, their primitive clothes swirling, and the women joined in, clapping their hands, while the children laughed and chased each other around a palm tree. The woman from earlier sat on a rock near the oasis, holding her baby in her arms, and she dipped her finger in the cool water to moisten the infant's lips, her face softening as the baby stopped crying, finally at peace after a day of walking. The lion from the morning reappeared, walking across a field with scattered trees in the background, and it paused to sniff the air, catching the scent of the antelope carcass, but it turned away when it saw the tribe's fire starting to glow. Fire was a fear even the king of the savannah respected. In another part of the field, a herd of elephants had gathered around a dead lion, their trunks prodding the body, and the Homo habilis tribe watched from a distance, fascinated. This was a rare sight, proof that even predators could fall to stronger creatures. The tribe's children, now less scared, walked across the field hand in hand, picking small berries from low bushes. And they chattered in their primitive language, pointing at birds that flew overhead, while an elder followed close behind to keep them safe. When the sun dipped below the trees, the elephant herd moved on, leaving the dead lion behind, and the Homo habilis tribe approached cautiously, checking if any other beasts were nearby. Before a few males knelt to examine the lion's body, maybe they could use its hide for clothes. Near the tribe's fire, 3 male Homo habilis sat around a small tree, cleaning the antelope meat with sharp stones, and they talked in low voices, gesturing to the stars that were starting to appear, trying to make sense of the world above them. Under a larger tree nearby, the rest of the tribe sat, women, elders, and children, and they passed around pieces of dried fruit, sharing what little they had left, while the men continued preparing the antelope, the smell of meat starting to fill the air. A group of male Homo habilis stood in the middle of the field, keeping watch, their sticks in hand, and they scanned the darkness for any signs of predators, knowing that night was when the most dangerous beasts came out to hunt. One woman, her primitive clothes stained with berry juice, held a red object, a piece of dried fruit she'd saved for her baby, and she walked toward the fire. Her wobbly steps steady now that she was on flat ground, eager to feed her child. At the small stream next to the oasis, the lion from the morning stood drinking, its head lowered, and it did not notice the Homo habilis male who'd snuck over to fetch water. The man freezing when he saw the big cat, his heart pounding. The male slowly backed away from the stream, and he rejoined the group of men walking through the field, whispering about the lion, and they decided to wait until the cat left before anyone else went for water. No meal was worth risking a lion attack. The men stopped in the middle of the field, forming a circle, and they talked about their next move. Tomorrow they would follow the stream, hoping it led to a larger water source, and they agreed to keep the fire burning all night to scare off predators. A lone male Homo habilis sat on the ground next to a small cow-like creature, one they'd found earlier. Too weak to run, and he stroked its back gently, wondering if they could keep it alive, maybe use its milk for the babies. In the middle of the field, a man sat next to the tribe's main fire, adding sticks to keep it burning bright, and he stared at the flames, mesmerized. Fire was their greatest discovery, the only thing that made the dark less terrifying. On a rocky outcrop above the field, the lion stood tall, its silhouette against the moon, and it roared, a sound that made the Homo habilis tribe huddle closer to the fire, their hands tight on their sticks, knowing this was a warning, not an attack. A brave male Homo habilis climbed onto a horse, something no one in the tribe had done before, and he held on tight as the horse trotted through the field, his ape-like hair blowing in the wind, and the tribe cheered, amazed by his courage. Near the main fire, 3 men sat around a smaller campfire, roasting pieces of antelope meat on sticks, and they passed a cup of water around, savoring the cool liquid, while they talked about the day's hunt. Proud of their success, the rest of the male Homo habilis joined them, sitting around the fire, and they shared stories, gesturing to the antelope bones, to the lion they'd seen, to the elephants, and they laughed. A rare sound, forgetting for a moment the danger that waited outside the fire's light. A man stood next to a small, dog-like creature, one that had followed the tribe for days, and he scratched its ears, surprised by how friendly it was, and he wondered if this beast could help them hunt, or warn them of danger. The lion from the outcrop started running through the field of grass, its paws thudding against the dirt, and it was chasing a rabbit, not the tribe, which made the Homo habilis men relax a little, though they still kept their sticks close. The rabbit darted into tall grass, and the lion followed, its body disappearing into the green, and the Homo habilis tribe watched, fascinated by the hunt. This was how they survived too, chasing prey, fighting to stay alive. Back at the fire, the men sat close, and they ate the last pieces of antelope meat, while the women coaxed the babies to sleep, their soft voices mixing with the fire's crackle. A baby chimpanzee, lost from its troop, sat in the grass near the tribe's camp, its small hands pulling at blades of grass, and a Homo habilis child walked over, holding out a berry, curious about the little creature. In the distance, a lion and her cub walked through the wild, the cub stumbling as it tried to keep up with its mother. And the Homo habilis tribe watched, knowing that even predators had families. Even they fought to protect their young. The men added more sticks to the fire, making sure it would burn through the night, and they took turns keeping watch, one man standing while the others slept, his eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of trouble. The rest of the tribe, women, children, elders, sat around the fire, too tired to move, and they leaned against each other, sleeping soundly, their primitive clothes keeping them warm, while the watchman stood guard, his stick in hand. The lion and her cub from earlier appeared again, this time closer to the camp, and the watchman tensed, ready to call out, but the lion just stared at the fire for a moment before leading her cub away, not wanting to challenge the flames. As the first light of dawn broke, a man and woman stood in the field, stretching their stiff legs, and they breathed in the cool morning air, relieved that the night had passed without danger. While the rest of the tribe started to wake up, the man walked a little farther into the field, and he stopped when he saw two lions, brothers, by the look of them, standing a few meters away. And he froze, then slowly backed up, knowing he couldn't fight two big cats alone. The two lions split up, one walking left, one right, and the middle of the field was empty, which let the man run back to the tribe, yelling a warning, and the others grabbed their sticks, ready to defend themselves. Near the now dying fire, 3 young chimpanzees sat, having joined the lost baby from earlier, and they played with small stones, while a Homo habilis elder watched, wondering if these creatures were like them. Long ago, a man stood in the field, his back to a tree, and he scanned the horizon for the stream they planned to follow, his dark skin glowing in the morning sun, while he listened for the sound of water, their next chance at survival. 3 men started running through the field, their sticks in hand, and they were chasing a small rabbit, hoping to catch it for breakfast, their wobbly legs getting faster as the rabbit darted ahead, trying to escape. The 2 lions from earlier met in the middle of the field, rubbing their heads together, and they then walked off toward the stream, leaving the tribe alone, which made the Homo habilis men relax, their shoulders dropping as the tension faded. With the lions gone, the tribe's men started dancing again, this time to celebrate the dawn, to thank the gods for another day, and the women joined in, clapping, while the children chased each other, happy to be alive. The woman from the day before held her baby in her arms, walking toward the stream, and she smiled as the baby reached out to touch the water, excited by the cool liquid, while the rest of the tribe followed, eager to drink. A group of young lions, playful, not yet hunters, tumbled with each other in the grass, their small paws swatting at each other, and the Homo habilis children watched, laughing at the cubs' silly movements. Forgetting about danger for a moment, the man and woman from dawn stood in the middle of the field, and they hugged, their bodies warm from the sun, their primitive clothes pressing together, and they looked at their tribe, safe, fed, alive, and knew that tomorrow would bring new dangers. But today, they had won. Thank you for joining Homo habilis History Hub on this journey. If you found this story meaningful, please support us by liking and sharing the video. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to continue exploring the grand chapters of human history with us. Goodbye, and we'll see you on the next journey through time.